So Eclipse is, it is a database, and we have all stores in one location. So with Finex, we separate the brands. They each have their own Finex, but in Eclipse, with it being a database for the forecasting, it's one location for the customer. So they can just go to their store list here, and we can see here we have multiple brands available. So Eclipse loads the financial statement data from Finex, so they are linked together, and they are integrated. So it picks up the history within minutes. We can actually have a store built in Eclipse within about 10 minutes. We import roughly 3 years worth of history. So we have our 3 years here, 2015, 16, and 17. And the reason behind that is our seasonality. So the customers, they don't want to just carry forward what their what their dealership did the year prior. They want an average for their seasonality to determine their weighted monthly average to give them a better starting point for their new year forecast. So for this year, it would be 2018. So Eclipse uses advanced calculations and algorithms with the history to give a starting point for the budget. So when we install and import the history, Eclipse actually will generate a starting 2018 budget for the customers. So it takes out the work for them. They can enter their annual averages. Let's say they have, 25 fits that are coming from the factory here. Eclipse does the work for you. You enter your new units here. We have our projected growth rate. This is what we call the reality check column for the customers. Is it in line with their forecast? Can they achieve what it is showing? You can adjust your average gross per vehicle here. Oh, we went 1,500, not 150. So Eclipse does all the math for the customers. We make it as simple as possible for the customers. It can be more advanced for some users. We have the option to do a quick what if scenario here with what we call a bottom up calculation. So if a customer doesn't want to budget line by line, we have the ability to budget by total here. So 512 units. So Eclipse is giving this starting value here based on what the customer completed for 2017. A lot of customers, obviously, they start budgeting in the fall for the prior year. So Eclipse will project the remaining months open because their forecast is based on a 12-year calendar, or sorry, 12-month calendar. So Eclipse actually projects those open months. It gives a starting point here. So for 2017, there was 508 units. I entered that 25 fits above for the Honda. But if the customer says, okay, for 2018, we're going to do 600 units here for new vehicles. So we have the option. So on that 512, we can enter a bottom-up calculation, enter our new amount here, and Eclipse proportionally allocates how much to assign to each car unit based on their financial statement history. It's done the work for them. If they want to change their average gross per vehicle from $1,500 to $1,600, we can enter it in our average value here. And then we say, how do we want to adjust it by the number of units or per unit? I'm going to say gross per unit here. We have $1,600. Eclipse has done the work for us. Our projected growth rate is a 25% increase from our 2017 to our 2018 forecast. We do the same type of thing for the F&I analysis. The business office is a big portion of revenue for the dealers, and it is actually quite complex in order to forecast for based on their penetration rate. So the F&I department, every new vehicle is an opportunity to sell the F&I contract. You can have more than one F&I contract for each new vehicle. So it is quite complex, and Eclipse has actually pulled the data again from their financial statement, and it has been determined the penetration percentage by F&I contract for every new vehicle. And we can do that same bottom-up analysis for the customer here. So instead of $1,000, we can enter $1,200 gross for every new retail vehicle sold, and it does the work for the customer. Same thing for the expenses. Again, we're following the financial statement layout. We take the factory statements as our roadmap. We don't deviate at all from that because with Eclipse, we keep it all standard. We don't want to customize it because it is integrated with Finex and we have all the coding related. So this budget, once it's completed, it gets exported to Finex, so then the customers have their forecast on a monthly basis that they can use for their comparative reporting. In Eclipse, we have relationships built in. So we have taken standard industry relationships and we've built them into Eclipse. Now these can be modified and they can be added as needed. So your sales budget and your expense budget, they're integrated. When your new vehicle retail sales go up, so will your compensation. Your salesmen are paid on a commission, right? So we have the integrated relationships built in here. So we have it based on our sales budget on the number of new vehicle retails sold, and it's on a percentage of growth. So 25% of your gross amount on new vehicle retail sold is paid out to the salesmen. So once your new vehicle budget is updated, so will these expenses. So you can see here our projected growth rate is 25%. That's because we had a 25% increase in the sales. So we have our total sales here from your sales budget, your total growth here from the sales budget. We have all the expenses. Again, we have the starting point that's been given to the client, and they can enter what they want. If they want a 2% increase, we have that ability here. So in this percent change column, it's one of our reporting tools. You can enter a 2% increase, apply it to the department. It saves a lot of time. It's just a little shortcut. So now the client can see what a 2% increase in sales looks like for that department bottom line. We have the reports available. So we have a nice little summary report. So it's your 2018 budget here as compared to the 2017 and the 2016. So we like to have that comparative data for the clients as well. In the fixed operations, the fixed operations are they work together, right? So when you have something in service, your service uses your parts. You have an oil change. Not only do you have the labor for the oil change, you have the oil, the filters, right? So these departments work together. In our parts department here, we have the relationships built in for those accounts that work together. So you have your customer repair order for the parts. We have it tied to our sales dollars here, so we can view the relationship. So for every dollar in service, they had 50 cents in parts. And so again, this is pulled from the financial statement data. This is real data available to them without the client having to do the work. They can add relationships too. So we just have a couple standard relationships here. I've seen some clients add relationships. I'll show you how fast and easy it is. So for parts internal, some clients have related this to the used department. So I'm going to go to create relationship, say for my used vehicles and my sales budget, not my expense budget. And I'm going to say for every unit, based on the number of retail vehicles, I just double click here, Eclipse builds the relationship. It will give me that ratio. So if I view the relationship, for every used retail vehicle I sold, I had $378 in my parts internal. This was from the 2017 financial statement that it pulls these ratios, so it's just that easy. You just double click the account that it's related to, and then it's in Eclipse. It does the work for you, so when we update the used vehicle department forecast, it will update this line as well. So these relationships are saved every year, so when the customer builds the relationships, they get carried forward every year. We have not only the departmental summary reports, we have dealership reports. So the customer can see as a whole what is their bottom line for each department, and then what is their bottom line for the entire dealership. So we can see our 2018 budget as compared to our 2017 and our 2016, and we have our percent change column here. In the new and used vehicles, we have the per retail vehicle gross average. We find that this is very handy information for the customers, so they can see their front end and their back end gross profit per unit for the new and used vehicles. We have a 2018 monthly expense breakdown, so the customers can see on a monthly amount what their dealership is doing for their expenses. Again, you have the total sales or the total gross. We have our dealership total here, so they can see what their bottom line is. We have a 2017 comparative for the customer as well. So every report or every page can be printed out of Eclipse here, but we also have the option to export the report. So Eclipse will do a data dump into Excel very quickly, so the customer can save a soft copy if they want to have it. If they want to email it to somebody rather than printing and scanning and going through all that work, we make it very easy for the customer. We also have an audit trail, so it is not only for us, it is for the customer when they have multiple people working within the budget. So we have an update log. We have our change log here, which tells us everything that we've done. So this helps us if a customer has a problem. It helps them if they need to go back and remind themselves of what they did. You can see here, it tells us exactly what we've done. We also, part of our audit trail, we make copies of the database, and we make copies of the database. So if there's any major change where they updated the financial statement history, or if they've imported what we call a manager copy of the budget, we make copies of the database. So again, for that audit trail. So in Eclipse, we have the ability to break out the budget. So you don't have to budget by dealership if the customer doesn't want to. You can actually pick and choose what departments you want to send. So you can have the department managers enter their own budget, right? Have them do their work so they're aware of their forecasts, and so they're more involved in the process. So if we go to our managers, we can send to our managers here, and we can pick and choose what department we want to send. Eclipse will generate a condensed zipped file into an email for us, and you can send this to any user. And then we have a separate Eclipse program that the manager downloads for them. Okay, so we have the ability to send this off to any manager. It helps with the productivity. We also have the ability to add notes along the way. Some clients like to leave themselves breadcrumbs so they know what they did. So if we go to our notes, you can type a note here, and then it saves the data. Okay, and then you can actually view all of the notes available. So you can either print this, or again, copy and paste and make it into a soft copy to keep on your computer.